Hey everyone, welcome back to The Moment Live. I'm your host, Meredith Lynch. I'm joined, as always, by my partner in Mitch McConnell memes. Well, let me say your name,
Oh, okay.
Just in case
Just
there's
in
any
case they don't
confusion.
know.
Rebecca Sananès.
I'm not Mitch McConnell,
As far as I know.
as far as you know. My face isn't melting.
People were like, who does rehab in jeans? And I was like, you guys have never met my dad.
Are we sure that that's not, do you remember when it was like, is this cake or real? I think Mitch McConnell is cake.
I think it's real.
You think it's real?
Yeah, I do think it's real. But, we can, if we have time, we'll get to it. There's so much happening right now. I mean, listen, Lindsey Graham really stole a lot of Mitch's thunder over the weekend because he died suddenly after a brief illness. We'll talk a little bit about that. That was shocking. I know. A spry 71, which, I'm not kidding. That is not old. There have been 2 more deadly ICE shootings in the last I don't know, I would say 4 days.
Like not even.
No, not even. I think it was between Thursday and yesterday, one in Houston, Texas, the other one in Biddeford, Maine. And then I found this story and I thought it was kind of interesting because I think that one of the things that history will reveal itself with is the reality of Brad Pitt.
My hot take as I was driving over here today was I actually don't think he's that good an actor. Everything else aside, I don't think he's a good actor.
Well, what do people think he's been so good in? Meet Joe Black?
Yeah, no, but literally that. I feel like, he was good in Inglourious Basterds. He was good in Burn After Reading. He was great in Fight Club. But I recently watched Troy, which not a great movie to begin with, but I'm really...
Why are you watching Troy in 2026?
Because I'm so excited for The Odyssey. I know. It's like my toxic trait is I'm really excited for The Odyssey. And so I watched Troy and I was like, this man is a bad actor. Like, he might just be tall.
Well,
Anyways.
maybe that's why the kids, no, that's not why the kids changed their name. But we're going to talk a little bit about how 2 more of his children have dropped Pitt from their last name. And then, so excited for this, we have Cindy Eckert joining us today. She is the founder of Addyi, which a lot of people call the female Viagra.
I'm so excited.
But I've looked more into it, and it's really not the female Viagra. And I mean that in like a way that I think the company does a great way of differentiating themselves, and we're going to talk about that. Because, I mean, what is Viagra? It has a specific effect.
Yes.
So what would the female Viagra be?
That's a great question.
It would have a specific effect.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like that. And I mean that in a way that I think is great and we can get into. And I think it's interesting to me that we just call it the female Viagra because I think that makes it easy for people to understand. But anyway,
That's
excited.
Fascinating. I'm so excited for that.
I know it's going to be a good conversation. But let's first start off with
dearly departed.
our dearly departed Lindsey Graham.
Okay, so if you didn't hear, I don't know how you didn't hear, but I was like an insomniac over the weekend for a lot of reasons, and I think I was one of the first to see the announcement, and I was like,
I heard you called 911.
yeah, I'm the one. Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, he died on Saturday evening at his home, most likely from an aorta tear in his heart. And you're right, he is, not only is he young, he didn't seem, he was on Magic Mountain just a few months ago. I'm sorry, it's not funny. It is a little funny.
Your former boss, Scott Galloway, was like, 71 in poor shape. I'm like, listen, I don't think he's in the worst shape for a 70. I don't think he was in the worst shape.
I really could not have been more shocked by this
I mean, 71 is young, especially when you think about all the access to healthcare that he has.
Totally.
But I will say he had just been traveling. He'd just done Ukraine.
Yeah.
He'd done a long flight. And he had chest pains. And also I was reading about how this happens. You feel very sick to your stomach. And I can't tell you how many times I myself have gotten off a long flight and been like, do I have the flu or something? I feel like shit. But you think, it's jet lag. And I imagine that could be how he felt.
I can imagine. Yeah, it was shocking. We were all on Mitch McConnell death watch, and then suddenly we got this surprise. Just as a reminder, Lindsey Graham in 2016 was a huge Trump critic. I remember this so vividly, where there was a Saturday Night Live joke about it and everything. It was huge. Yeah, this is what he tweeted at the time. And then he since became Trump's lapdog. It just yeah, I sometimes when these types of things happen, I'm like, something was eating at your soul. Or not, I don't know. He was running for re-election in South Carolina, but in the meantime, the governor of South Carolina, Henry McMaster, is going to be nominating Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene Graham Norden. You know,
it appears she has no government experience, by the way.
Shocking. Well, so what do we think? Is she like, is this the kind of thing where she like stays in? Because remember, Dianne Feinstein's replacement was like, I don't want to run. And I remember being really, really impressed by her. I forget her name, but she was appointed by Governor Newsom after Dianne Feinstein passed away. And then the special election was coming up really quickly. And she was like, no, I'm doing my public service duty. And like, I'm not interested. And I had immense respect for that. But I'm curious whether this sticks.
I don't think that Darlene Graham Nordone will run because there are a few other people who have expressed interest in running that I think make a stronger candidacy for Republicans. For example, Nancy Mace has said that she's interested in running. I think there's another person who's interested in running. The thing is, in one world, you would say, oh, just take a person from the House, put them in the Senate if you had a really strong majority, but they don't. So I think this was kind of the easiest way to do it. Also, like, think about it. It's not very long.
You're right. It's not very long. And I feel like this happens sometimes where it's like, there's like an anointment almost. It's like a tribute to Lindsey Graham's contribution to the Republican Party.
I also think they might have said to her, if you take this, you don't want to run, right? And she was like, I'm good.
I think that's probably right. I think that's probably right. I also, did you see somebody on social media was talking about, they're a trans actor, and they were talking about how Lindsey Graham paid off their loans. Did you see this?
Really?
Yeah. Like I know there's a lot of jokes about Lindsey Graham's sexuality, but there's a few things floating out there that you're like, this seems very real to me, that Lindsey Graham was having relationships with much younger, there's somebody like our age, much younger. And did
you know he raised his sister?
No.
Yes. So that's like they're 13 years apart. So which means she's got another 100 years left in her.
That's right. That's right.
She's probably too young for the job.
Wait, the funniest thing was when you texted me. What did you say?
He had just joined the DC Young Professionals Kickball League.
I died.
Hell of a shortstop.
I thought that was so funny.
I thought it was funny too. But his parents, they have a 13-year age gap, and his parents died when he was fairly young, and she was very young, and so he actually adopted her, and he was in the U.S. Reserves or something, and he had a special leave so he could sort of live closer to home and raise her.
Wow.
So I do think they had this like very unique close bond.
Yeah.
He also was the one who said she should start spelling her name Drline instead of Drlene, which is about the gayest thing I've ever heard.
It's so funny you say that. I was like, that's the gayest thing I've
Darlene, we're going to change that spelling now that mom and dad are gone.
In there, sweetheart.
You're going to love doing the little dot on top, Darlene.
Make it a little hard up there.
But listen, Lindsey.
So funny.
Isn't that funny?
Yes.
We have to talk a little bit about the tributes that have been pouring in for Lindsey Graham,
because
I've, of course, been fighting. Cory Booker is like the guy in high school who like was cool freshman year, and then everybody got hip to the game and they hated him. And
we've had this conversation so many times. You Lindsey Graham was the guy who was in like AP US history.
Cory Booker,
sorry.
Lindsey Graham was too, and you were like, you know what? Occasionally he makes a good point.
Well, Lindsey Graham, I would have loved in AP US history because I love gay men, first of all. And like at the time, conservative gay men would have given me a kick. But Cory Booker would have gotten on my nerves. He would have been like we know exactly who Cory Booker is. But you cook because I had a kind of a rough weekend, which we can talk about later. But I was online and I saw your take, and I don't always comment on your videos, but my comment was Meredith Lynch,
thanks a lot.
Never fucking misses here. So.
But basically Cory Booker came out, as did many Democrats, but I would say Cory Booker was one of the staunchest, and he did it in video, which is always a choice. Sometimes all you need is like a carefully crafted statement.
Right. I would say that's respectful. I could understand why somebody would do a carefully crafted, like Lindsey Graham dedicated his life to the Republican Party.
No lies detected.
But
he had gone out for a jog, allegedly, and he decided to film a quick video, which also too, I'm like, dude, why are you filming so close to home?
That's a really good point.
If I was his wife, I'd be like, dude, you're like doxing us.
Yeah, that's so
You're like
true.
running around the back alleys of our townhouses.
Yep.
So anyway, he makes a video and he basically, is sort of shocked and saddened and tells this story about, something that he worked on with Lindsey Graham that made it, into the Senate and, whatever was great. And he really sort of, I don't know, eulogized Lindsey Graham in a way that I don't think needed to be done. When you look at what I pointed out was some of the recent stuff that Lindsey Graham has been working on is just so harmful. First of all, he has many times brought forth birthright citizenship. Like multiple years, he's brought that to the Senate. He, has brought forward things that would criminalize women receiving reproductive health care from both his bill targeted both the woman receiving it and the healthcare provider.
Great.
So he put forth something at the beginning of this year in February of 2026 to end sanctuary cities. Like, you don't have to, here's the thing, you don't have to fuck with him, right?
Right.
That's the thing.
That's what I think is like, I do think you can be an elected official and do like the classy thing and be like, Lindsey Graham did this, that, and the other, the end. There's a difference between, Cory Booker, I felt like I was being scolded by Cory Booker, who was like, Lindsey Graham is a good man,
Yes.
I was like, okay, Cory, like, can you take a nap, please? Do we want to play a little bit of the clip, or are we over it?
I think it's fine. But I will say, I love the fact that he had on, first of all, dude, get an actual, like, running t-shirt. Stop running in old poly blend t-shirts. But it said on it, think bigger.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, dude, you need to think fucking bigger.
Do you know what's interesting is I was driving over here this morning and I noticed, I haven't read it yet, but there's an article, a profile of Alexis Lewis Booker in The Cut this week.
That she did or that they did about her?
No, I get the sense that she, like, there's quotes from her.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It,
So, yeah.
And like, I think
it's a puff piece, probably.
I haven't read it yet,
say.
But whatever it is like, I feel like it's interesting to me because I feel like I've seen her as just such a political prop in his like trying to advance to 2028. And so to see her be like, okay, where do I go to try and get, and the pull quote, again, I haven't read it yet, but just the pull quote was about how it was about the timing of their lives and they used to be so like career driven, like it never would have worked. And I'm like, who are you? Like, nobody knows anything about your career. And, anyways, Cory Booker and Lindsey Graham, two closeted gay men in the Senate,
I actually don't think that Cory Booker's gay.
Yeah.
He might be bisexual, but I think it's not that.
He's asexual.
He might be asexual, but I don't think that he is having like.
He's not a Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, like closeted relationships with men. I just don't think he's that complex either. And I think if you want to save a little money, I would not give Cory Booker's campaign. I don't think Cory Booker should run.
I don't think Cory Booker should run. And I don't think he's not meeting the moment. He was like, he had the 25-hour filibuster I thought was magnificent. And everything since has been dud.
Yeah, I mean, everybody can have a great moment. I
But
mean, look at Lindsey Graham. He was criticizing Trump in 2016 in a way that a lot of other people wouldn't.
That's a good point.
That would be a great moment.
Yep.
But, anyway, we move on.
We move on. Okay, this is a story that, again, I had sort of a weird...
No, I'll talk about this a little bit.
So bring us up to speed.
It's so funny because I did the math last night while I was falling asleep. And
really? Math as you're falling asleep?
Yeah,
that sounds like
it was
nightmare
counting on my fingers about ice shootings, which was nightmare central.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is I felt like there was a big ice surge in June of 2025. Okay. Then there was another big ice surge January, February of 2026. Now we are at July. They're happening just about every 6 months.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So I just thought that was something people should be aware of.
Yeah. No, I had that thought too, like a why now. So catch us up to speed about what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
And then let's talk about the why now and like just, I don't know.
So over the last 5 days, there have been 2 deadly ice shootings. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo had lived in the United States for over 3 decades working as a builder. According to ICE/DHS, he was mistaken for another individual that they were looking for. And the accounts, shockingly, between what happened from his family and ICE have vast differences. The body cam footage, according to DHS, is going to be available at the end of the month for this one.
Why the end of the month?
Exactly, right?
Like they're like, oh, just enough time so that we can AI this.
Right. Well, and this is interesting. Meanwhile, in Biddeford, Maine, and this one is still evolving. So even as of this morning, I was adding information to this. John Sebastian Guerrero, a 26-year-old Colombian man, was shot and killed by ICE on Monday morning. Initially, DHS had said that this man had final orders to leave the United States, but an immigrants' rights group had said that he was living and working in the U.S. legally. Yeah. Well, it's now coming out that, again, it looks like they had the wrong person and that he was simply driving to work, as I believe that the Lorenzo was driving home from work, or it's like
they're getting them at like vulnerable,
right?
Vulnerable
Exactly.
moments.
Now it's now that's being reported. Meanwhile, body cameras were not on the officers involved in this shooting. And when asked about that, DHS was like, "Well, we had hoped to get them to Biddeford, Maine, or to that area in the next 45 days." And what I thought was really interesting, I'm going to make a video about this later today. I was looking at a Quinnipiac poll after the shooting of Alex Peretti back in I think it was late January.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that I think it's something like 90% of Americans, Democrats and Republicans, believe that ICE should be wearing body cams?
Yeah.
Full stop. I mean, it's one of the few things we can agree on.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand how it's July of 2026 and we still have people without body cams on. Not that it would stop it, but it allows for
some transparency.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that after the 6 months thing is like, I had almost not forgotten, but like in January, it was like so all consuming the Minneapolis ice shooting. Like it was pervasive. It was like living in dystopia. And you and I know it's still been going on. And yet this type of thing is so jarring and shocking. It doesn't surprise me that we kind of forgot about them. Like, remember all the ICE reforms that were supposed to happen? You know what I mean? Like they kind of not stopped, but like we stopped talking about them because the shock of it wore off until the next thing happens. And so it doesn't surprise me that it like takes these 6 months between these horrific events. I heard it like his daughter was there, like the amount of trauma we are just like.
Even if he wasn't the person, even if he was the person. So if there's a person that you're looking for, you just shoot them. Like that's what I don't really understand is like, I mean, it's terrible that he's not the person they were looking for. That makes it.
But it's also.
But it's like, oh, okay. So what if he was?
And it's also
we
like,
just shoot people.
It could be anybody. It could be anybody. I remember, we've talked about this before, we all learn things all the time. I remember during COVID, learning for the first time that undocumented immigrants do pay taxes sometimes.
Sure.
Like, I didn't realize that, until COVID, because it's a long story, but not that negates anything, but like
but it's like this whole idea that they're stealing from us or taking our jobs, and
they're paying into Social Security and they will never
and they don't even
get
see
Social
it. They
Security.
don't even get it.
They will never get it, and they are paid. Like there are many undocumented people who are hardworking, care about their community, care about their families, contributing to the United States as much as you and I are, and like the thought that this is even in the realm of possibility is like, it's so disturbing.
Well, going back to your point though about like, oh, we make a big deal out of it and then it kind of goes, it does remind me a little bit of how everything that happened when George Floyd was murdered, we all were like, wait a minute.
Yep.
Not all, a lot of people are going to do this and whatever. But we all said, things have to change.
And then would you look at, I mean, I think you could say the same thing about Me Too. Is like there was a moment where like there was, the Harvey Weinstein of it all and it all came out and then suddenly Graham Plattner.
Right,
exactly.
No, or here we are with Nolan Wells.
Exactly.
And so it's we repeat the cycle again and again, but I do think this is a really important moment. And, I was talking earlier to you off camera, I said, Ms. Rachel was born in Biddeford, Maine.
So interesting.
And she grew up right outside of Biddeford, Maine, and I think she's a Mainer.
Maine girl.
And Maine is having such a moment in so many ways.
I'm really, you were telling me Susan Collins basically has concerns as per usual, but I am curious to see like how different people show up in this moment for Maine. This is like so not the point of this story, but I actually do think this is probably ultimately good for the Democrats in the election in Maine.
Yeah.
Because it's so glaringly obvious how wrong this is. I think I could see a world where Maine voters who are like, listen, I've stuck with Susan Collins, but like
Also, too, if I was them, I'd be playing up the Mitch McConnell and the Lindsey Graham of it all.
Yeah.
Because, these motherfuckers are dropping like flies. Dropping like flies. And so I would say Susan Collins. You know what I love about Susan Collins is I was doing something. I didn't end up putting it out, but I was doing some content and I was Google imaging her. And it's so interesting. All of these people, they'll be using headshots from like 20 years ago. They're all like, even Andy Bashir. I was like, Andy, it's time to update the headshot.
Even
like,
on
you
this
still look
show,
great.
even on this show, I'm like, sometimes I'll see a headshot and be like, that's one person, and then they'll pop up on screen and be like, whoa.
Oh, people say that about my headshot all the time, and I'm like, guys, it's not that old.
It's not that old.
No, it's not even 2 years old.
Yeah, give us a break. We look amazing.
But I think we're not going to have time for this story, but that's okay. Maybe we'll come back to it.
We kind of talked about it at the top, which is Brad Pitt sucks.
Yeah, and history will show that.
History will bear out that he was terrible in Troy.
Well, yeah, and so many other places
and everything else.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting, though, is that in order to change their names, the Pitt Jolie kids, or now the Jolie kids, they had to take out advertisements in newspapers.
I saw that.
And I think that's so fucking strange. I
It's
think that's so
bizarre.
antiquated and it's so shameful, and it has to run for 4 weeks in a row.
I also wonder if there's like some like weird sexist backs. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
what I mean.
yeah, it's like
Also,
weird patriarchal.
If I wanted to change my name to be my husband's last name, would I have to take something out in the newspaper? They're adults. They're not children.
Yeah, no, and also like that seems also dangerous to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like
maybe this is something our
I know, I'm so excited for this. This
will
is
have
such,
insight on.
Yeah.
We have with us today Cindy Eckert. Cindy is the CEO and founder of Sprout Pharmaceuticals and the entrepreneur behind Addyi, the first FDA-approved drug for low libido in women. She sold Sprout Pharmaceuticals for $1 billion in 2015, later reacquired the company, and has spent over 25 years working to close the gap in women's sexual health research and FDA approvals. She is a 2026 Time 100 Health honoree and the subject of the Paramount Plus documentary, The Pink Pill. Cindy Eckert, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you.
Why they have to take out pages in the newspaper. That is such a weird story. And now I have to go and figure out the basis of that too.
Right? Doesn't it feel like you're like, this came from some weird patriarchal shit, if I've ever heard some weird patriarchal shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially here in California, where I feel like we've made a lot of great strides, right? For women, I like to think so.
You know.
Think so?
Yeah. But anyway,
I love your hair.
I thank you.
This pink queen. I'm so excited for this.
Oh, I know. She's fucking boss babe, but in the best possible way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I must know everything.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, here's one thing that I found when I was doing my research for this. When we had first been approached to have you on the show, quickly someone had just said to us, she is behind the female version of Viagra. But
Which
then
I'd heard
yeah,
of.
we
with
were
the
like,
pink,
great, okay. But then I started looking into it, and it's not really an accurate comparison, because the female version of Viagra, I think, Dad, I'm sorry, would just get you wet.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So can you explain a little bit about how Addyi actually works and why that comparison is not the best?
Meredith, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. Which can only happen when I'm on with women, because
That's what I'm saying.
Isn't it exactly the truth, though, that when there was an innovation, the first ever thing for women to have a more satisfying sex life, we had to have a male comparator.
Period.
Like, hello, the blue pill, arousal. The pink pill, desire. This is our biggest sex organ. Women's biggest sex organ is in the brain. That's how Addyi works. It's working on desire, interest in having sex, not on arousal. Totally different construct.
That's such a fascinating observation about men and women, Also, I was talking to my sister yesterday about this interview because I'm so excited, and she was like, I think we need men to have fewer. I don't know that we need men to have more erections necessarily,
Oh, I know.
I think maybe they've, I don't think that's the problem.
Yeah, I know. And then you find out they happen all the time. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I don't know. They've never really helped me out that much,
For sure. Yes. And isn't it funny that men, actually the only way you really can measure if a man has ED or erectile dysfunction is if you measure if they're getting nocturnal erections, because those happen irregardless of any stimuli. But, men walk in all the time and say I'd like to try the blue pill. And we're like, sure. And women who want to try the pink pill, we sit them down and we're like, what's going on with this? What is the state of this?
So
like the hoops they have to jump through.
Yeah.
It's not like electing to have a more satisfying sex life. It's like, how broken are you to deserve this?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And I was reading about how women used to have to sign something that said that they would abstain from alcohol.
Don't even get me started. I mean, think about this idea. It's like, promise me you'll be a good little girl and not drink. And that has been completely undone, I'm proud to say, with the FDA. Like, it was unprecedented when that happened. I mean, can you imagine your OB sitting with you and telling you, listen, and the real thesis behind that was, well, these women who want to have more sex, they're probably drinking. Like, it was so unbelievable that this was the conversation that led us down that path. Like, let me just say, like, Addyi does make you sleepy. So, one of the things you think about is anything else that you might take that makes you sleepy, be thoughtful about combining them close in time. That's good guidance for people. But this idea that you signed a piece of paper, it was disgusting.
That's as if women who are, as if an adult woman who's going to get who knows herself well enough to get a pill for help in her sex life doesn't know how to regulate her own alcohol. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's not a 15-year-old girl experimenting, like, that's a grown ass woman who's like,
yes.
That's crazy.
Viagra first hit the market in 1998, and Addyi is, of course, much newer, came on the market in 2015, and only recently received expanded FDA approval for women that are postmenopausal. I guess my question is, could we have had Addyi earlier?
Totally. And we could have had the postmenopausal approval back in 2015. Like, it's not only the scientific victory that we had the data in that population, but I think ultimately it was the cultural victory that we're finally talking about it. Yeah. It's not like we haven't really known it all along. And I think that was really what it was. Like, look, here's the simple truth. Like, we never debated whether or not men deserved access to a better sex life. But we debated for a decade whether or not women did.
Why do you think that is? Like, what is it? Is it going back to puritanical values? What is it?
I think inherently, like, the scariest being to our social construct is a woman fully in charge of her own power. And my God, if she has power over her own pleasure, game over. And I really think that is at the heart of it. Like, the societal bias, whether we're conscious of it or not conscious of it, it is so deeply embedded that it was in every obstacle to just letting women have choice in this area.
I also keep reading all of these, like, I'll see something on social media and it's like, for the first time, we've mapped out the nerves in the clitoris. And I'm like, the first time? Like, it's like, we don't put the time and energy into it. Yeah. I wonder, like, you are both, a visionary and an activist in some ways, but you're also a businesswoman. So how did you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is how we research? Like, how do you get the funding? How did you get the business?
Teach us.
Yeah. How did you get to this place? Not just that, but like, if we don't know what the clitoris is, which, like, if I know men, like, they don't so much. Like, how did you get to this point where you could make this pill?
Sheer will and defiance. But I will tell you, I'm going to plot twist it for you, because the narrative so often in women's health is that it is underfunded. The truth is, it is undermined. When we get innovation in women's health, media massacres it. They frame it as controversial and scary and this and that. And so the audience, ultimately, women never get to the truth because it's gone through all this framing for us before we get it. So the truth is, the funding is there. If I can solve a problem for 51% of the population, someone's going to get on board with that idea. The problem is that it's going to have to survive culture in order to ever get to the market. And that's really been the basis of my story. It's just been getting kicked in the face over and over and over again and standing back up and keep going.
Hell yeah.
In the end, like, we had the proof. We have the data. Like, I can go through scientific rigor and show you that something will work to help a woman with a problem we understand that she medically experiences. The question is whether or not, like, the world will allow it to exist.
It's fascinating.
This whole relationship between you and what became Addyi happened because you were at a pharmaceuticals conference and you started talking to a urologist and he was explaining to you, hey, there's this trial they've been doing with this drug. They're going to pull it off the market. It's been helping women's sex lives. And obviously the rest is history. I think it's a fascinating story. But my question to you is like, are there other things right now that you think that's happening with other sort of medical things happening in women, or even not even women, like even just the general population, that like drugs that could help certain things are being pulled?
Good question.
Oh, I think it's that not even that they get pulled, they either go down the path and get the research and hit the market and aren't successful because, again, the media has framed them in a way that never allows access. Once you start to use operative words like controversial, I mean, this is how Addyi was described, this controversial.
I remember when it came out. Yeah, it was like, woo.
Yeah, like once somebody says that, like you're not asking about the evidence, you're asking like, what's wrong with it, right? So I think there's actually a graveyard of women's health products that were important discoveries that never really got to survive in the light of day. That's what I would tell you. Like, is there a thing right now that could go and be researched? Sure. What we should mourn is the fact that there have been a lot of things that you were never even told existed.
I believe
and that's really what I would say on that. You've got to fight in women's health to get to the real data and the real evidence, and then make informed choices for yourself. You said it perfectly, Rebecca. Like, these are grown women. We can make our own choices on this, given all the information.
Speaking of grown women, something that I'm curious about, and we've talked about, back and forth on the show, is the sort of like trad wife of it all. And, we've done specials about the Heritage Foundation and the ways in which they're trying to control women's bodies. What do you think about Addyi in a world where like suddenly feminism, I mean, I guess feminism always had a backlash, but it's like this specific backlash of young women who are like, yeah, we just want to be babies for our husbands. Like, do you think I'm just curious what you think about all that.
I don't know. I mean, I think about all the time, how could it be that even we had opposition that were women, right? Like, actually, the story of Addyi is more women were standing in the way of it, ironically, than men.
I believe
and
that.
So, like, I think what it was our own complicated relationship with sex or our own sexuality, et cetera, that made us want to stand in the way of another woman having access to her own pleasure.
Totally.
So I think it is in every different community, whether it's a cultural community, an ethnic community, like the layers of shame and like sort of folklore as it relates to sex is always present there for Addyi. It's why my parents always say to me, my God, Cindy, could you have not invented a diabetes drug? They're like, please, no one would have these kind of opinions about it. But I think we're having a reckoning in women's health, aren't we? Like, we're having
and that's not even true, because look at GLP-1s.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people are so mad about GLP-1s.
Yep.
And the more I learn about them, I guess I'm biased because I'm on one, guys. Yeah. All right? I'll just say it.
That's a huge announcement for the show.
I know. It is an announcement for the show. But, I've said it on a couple of other things. But
I'm proud of you.
I think it's like, and the what I have experienced on it has, to be honest, been life-changing.
Yes.
And I think that's part of it, is that like there's so much shame in things for women's bodies that it's for me, it's not just weight loss. But a question that I have for you is, last year the FDA sent a warning letter to your company Sprout regarding a social media post from Addyi. And you guys, I do my research and development here at the Moment Live. And so I want you to know, I read the entire letter. I looked at the social media post, and I will say it's fucking bullshit that they came after you for that post. It was a post from People magazine, okay? So it's not even like you made this statement, okay? But basically, they were saying, oh, you're not showing the drug properly. And I was like, well, that's it. You guys, we'll link to the letter and I'll link to the post, but it's bullshit. And you heard it here. Well, probably not first, because I'm sure you said it too. But what role do you think the FDA should actually be able to play in social media? And I also want to point out to you, I don't know if you realize this, you also got a similar letter in 2020. Both times that you've gotten these letters, the Trump administration has been overseeing the FDA technically. So you never got these during the Biden administration. So I'd be curious to know, do you feel there's a change with RFK Jr. overseeing the FDA?
Well, I think there's such a want to be like tough on pharma always to win sort of the popular vote for a lack of understanding of how healthcare really works. Like, I don't believe in hating the innovators. Like, do I have problems with big business and big business practices? Sure. But like the small guys and innovators are not the people that I want to go after in general. And I think that actually who we should be breaking up is the monopoly of insurance, who completely price fixes drugs in the United States because they own a monopoly that controls every aspect. Actually, the innovator of the product doesn't make the money. The insurance company does. Once we understand that, we get the villain right in the story. But I want to go back to this letter in particular, Meredith, because I don't know. I don't know that it's an honor to have a first ever from the FDA, but I'm the first ever to receive a letter going after my own personal social media.
Wow, that is an honor.
My own freedom of speech to talk about these things. And the irony of it in that post was I said, this turns out this was never about a pill at all. And bravo that finally the floor is being given to women who struggle with this condition. That is literally my post. And so while they sent me the letter, I refused to take it down. I wrote a note back to their chief counsel. I said, I will not take it down. And so here we are today. And I think it just requires, I think in so many ways, I haven't been a prototypical or compliant, meaning I say the thing out loud when it is wrong, keeping inside of all the bounds I am required to regulatory compliance. But if something's bullshit, I call the spade a spade. And I think that has resulted in a good bit of retaliation over the course of my career.
You're so cool.
Well, but here's the thing too, you guys, first of all, y'all know I'd be the first one to be like, man, it kind of seems like the post was bullshit. Kind of seems like the FDA was in the right. But I was like, no, I'm reading through it. I'm like, this is bullshit. And I also think it's interesting that you didn't take the post down. And I think there is a world where the FDA then could have retaliated, not retaliated more, but they could have doubled down. They could have brought this, but interesting that they didn't.
Yeah.
Interesting that the
masqueraded. Who knows? Right? Who knows what will happen tomorrow? But I think really when you examine it, what was the basis? It was really crossing a line of their own authority. This is my truth. Let me say this out loud. I don't want a world without the FDA. I believe that companies should be held to the highest standard of science. They should be scrutinized in their efficacy and safety data. And I've always raised my hand and said, come for me and do that. I want to play in that world, right? Yep. What I don't like is the overreach of opinion, or in the case of Addyi, where I felt like it was sort of the intrinsic bias that was them deciding whether or not it mattered. That's not their role. Their role is to look at, is it safe and effective, and then turn over choice to patients and providers. And in our case, 26 times they had done that for men, and not a single time for women in the face of evidence before they did it for Addyi. And that was the really crux of my struggle with them. So I want a world with an FDA. I just want them to do what is their mandate that we pay for with our taxpayer dollars and stay in that lane.
I love women so much.
How do you think they even find a social media post like that? Do you think
they're
someone
looking?
sends it? They're looking.
I mean, I think they pay attention to
Interns?
me. I have not looked like they're prototypical, operating from a basis of fear. They do control. They have the power, right?
They're burn this woman at the stake, baby.
Yeah. So, and look, I think if we really want the FDA to go do something that would help human health, we should start looking at all the unregulated drug manufacturing that's happening right now, where nobody has any oversight of safety. Make no mistake, the wellness industry has eclipsed pharma sevenfold. It's massively different. And they're selling you hope in a bottle.
Totally.
You never bothered to study in your body.
100%.
Why would they ever bother? They're not being required to. That's where we should be focusing our energy. And we should hold everyone to strict scientific standards.
Yeah.
I'll die on that hill.
That's a good hill to die on. Before you go, one thing sort of similar to the Tradwife conversation that we've had quite a bit over here is everything I see now, I'm in my late 30s and is perimenopause. Perimenopause is coming for you. All these celebrities have menopause businesses. I wonder what you think are both sort of the positives and I've experienced negative, like a new stress of like, I'm like, oh, do I need to be watching out for hot flashes, or like, what am I looking out for? There's this like new thing that I feel like I have to worry about. I'm wondering what you think about sort of like the commodification of menopause right now.
Look, I'm not a fan of the celeb, just because I have it, I'm going to go and sell you something that I didn't study in your body. I think actually at this point, like, you are an opportunist on the plight of women's health if you're doing that. Do I love that the conversation is mounted? Of course. Do I think that we should say the things out loud? Meredith, that you said that about GLP-1s, bravo, because that's entirely your decision, right? Like, and nobody gets to have a point of view on whether or not that's the right one. That's your call for yourself, given all of the information. And I think that's really, I love information. I love arming women with information, taking advantage of them with fear mongering, or that. Absolutely not my girl. I'm not here for that. So I think it's a fine line that we have right now. Don't be worried. I will say I have a good friend who posted that like all your teeth fall out in menopause. And I was like, that's it. I can't follow you anymore. You've now crossed a line with me.
That's the thing, is like, I feel like I get posts constantly where it's like, you're on the cliff of death.
Yeah,
like, you know, like, okay.
You're not, but you do know your own body the best.
Yeah,
you do
that's
know
such
your
a good
own body
point.
the best.
Yep.
You do know when something is off.
Yep.
And you have every right to be taken seriously on the basis of your biology, and that is your ammunition in your doctor's visit. Is once they go to all the psychological and they start patting you on the shoulder and telling you normal, you just say, thank you so much. We'll get to that. Please explain to me what might be happening biologically and what my treatment options might be. And then we'll talk about diet, exercise, stress, and sleeping. Those are all valid and great, but they're not the lead conversation. If I go to see a medical professional, talk to me about the medical basis of what we're discussing.
Cindy, the amount of times where I had something serious going on with my female anatomy and they were like, here's an Advil, sweetie. Like, your period can sure be tough sometimes, honey. Is like, I am like, I will carry you in my head and heart every time I go to the doctor from now on.
No, it's such a good point. And I do want to
totally.
say, just because I just glanced at the chat and a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on the GLP-1s of it all. And it's like, you know, I think it's a very personal decision too that you make with your doctor. And I just want to say, like, I don't want to give anyone health advice, and that's why I'm not sharing much more. But I will say that I've worked with my doctor on this. And I first I tried I tried metformin first for what I was dealing with. And it was actually making me feel worse. And so it was like, you know, I think everyone should just, you know, and also I'll also say having a doctor right now in 2026 is unfortunately a fucking privilege. So I also want to acknowledge that too, having a primary, you know, an internal, but where can our friends find you?
And find Addyi. I'm like, I mean, you know.
Right?
I love it. You can find Addyi just at Addyi.com. It's spelled ADDYI.com. You can follow me at Cindy Pink CEO, and I answer my DMs. So send me one if you have a question about this, or I can be helpful.
I'm obsessed with you, Cindy.
I know. I'm obsessed with her too.
Like,
right?
I really hate that we don't live in the same city, because I would be hitting you up constantly.
Call me
Thank you so
anytime.
much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Cindy.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow, I knew that was going to be cool, and it was so much cooler than I thought it was
I
going to
know.
be.
What an interesting conversation, right?
Yeah, I really, like, that's the conversation I want to have I'm not joking. I'm like, I would be like, hey, Cindy, can we go get a drink? I got to ask you stuff. She's just so cool.
Someone's writing in the chat, I had a falling out yesterday with my doctor for being on GLP-1 for menopausal symptoms. I think it's such an interesting time in women's health too, because I think like we are finally starting to have some conversations that never existed before, or that were never like public before. But at the same time, because there's so many conversations,
you don't
there's
know
a lot
which
of
one.
misinformation.
Totally.
And so I think that's also a part of it. And that's why like I've been really hesitant to talk to people about being on GLP-1s. And I probably wouldn't make a video about it. I'm just talking about it on the live. I talked about it on Molly's live as well the other day. And I think it's such a deeply personal thing.
So personal.
And
nobody's business.
You know, I will also say I don't want other people to follow the path that I'm on.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's only if it's their path.
Right.
I know. There's so many things that are like, the internet is such a weird place. Another thing that I didn't bring up to her, but I found, is there's so much information now on the internet about women's hormonal phases. And in some ways, I think it's really cool, because it's like, oh, your luteal phase, you're this, that, and the other. And then there's some parts of it that feel like control to me. that feel like sometimes I'll hear men on the internet talk about like women's phases.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't know, you and your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, like that's like good for you if you know her, but like I don't want you coming on the internet explaining my fucking luteal phase to me. Like you can go shove that up your dick hole.
Well,
Speaking
of dick holes, what's having a moment for you, my friend?
I had to put my dog of 13 years down yesterday, as you very, very well know. And, actually I thought I was going to start crying. I'm feeling okay because I love doing this show so much that it fills me with like other things. And like, I really, I feel really blessed because my dog was so easy. He was like this big mutt. Like he was really tough he was big, but he was always like, I schlepped him everywhere. He was so tolerant. He was so easy. And in his death, which he died, I think really over the course of like 3 or 4 days, he was so easy. Yeah. He was so easy. He was never in real pain. He never, he made it really, really obvious. He wasn't sick beforehand. It was just like one day his body started giving out, and that's why I wasn't here on Friday. As I texted, and so I will also say my moment is my dog, who I literally do not think that I could be in the life I am right now without him,
Cassius,
without my Cashy boy, which I open my computer and my password is.
Don't tell people that.
They're not going to open my computer.
You never know.
I know it's not my password for anything else.
Watch out, Romeo's going to be selling that.
That's true. But I also want to say, like part of my moment is, I have amazing people in my life. Aww. I really I'm so grateful to you. I was saying off camera is like yesterday when it was going down, I knew that I could text Meredith and like she would have been there in a second if I was like, I need somebody there with me. And my sister, who was there for me like every single second, like basically all weekend. You sent me flowers. Another friend sent me flowers. Like my mom talked to me through, it was just like, in those moments you're like, oh, I had so much love in my dog, and I have so much love in my life. And anyways, my moment is I love my dog and I love the people.
Well, I was thinking a little bit about Cassius yesterday when I was out for a walk, and I was thinking, so you got him when you lived in Boston?
Yeah, from the MSPCA in Jamaica Plain.
Do you know where he was born?
He was a street dog. They picked him up off the street. They don't know. I mean, somewhere in Dorchester.
Not a lot. There's not a lot of street dogs in Boston, you guys. It's not San Juan.
I have a feeling that he probably was like a cute puppy and in somebody's backyard, and then he started to get big, and they were like, cut him loose.
Okay.
Ugh, my heart. He was the best. Oh, he was the best.
But I was thinking about all of this. I was thinking, okay, here's Cassius. He's born in Boston, and then he lives in New York City.
He lived so he was in Boston, then middle of nowhere, Vermont.
Oh, right.
And he would come into my office in the basement of the King Arthur Flower Factory where there were no windows.
Yeah.
And like a schlep. Yeah. Then New York City.
He was a little New Yorker.
A little New Yorker in Brooklyn. We lived in 2 different apartments in like a tiny little studio where we did COVID together, but I had this big balcony that he got to be on. And then, this is my favorite, Cassius got flown, I'd never flown first class before this. Cassius got flown first class with me by Prince Harry to move to Los Angeles to live out his golden years. Like, that dog owed me nothing.
But like, what an amazing little life that Cassius led. And then he became a little LA boy, and he got a sibling.
And he got to like really, this is another thing that I feel like the girlies, there's a couple of women in my life who like know this, including Vienna, where it's like there's such a specific relationship with like the young single woman who got a dog a little too early. And like he was like my life partner in a weird way. I know that sounds like a lot. But part of what was so nice is in his golden years, like I finally kind of like found a little bit of stability, and he got to just be my dog. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm also really grateful for that, where there was a long time where he was like my partner in crime. I needed him to like do my life. And then in the last couple of years, he got to just like be a dog.
I think having a sibling helps that a little bit. Like it's sort of like how with when people go from having 1 to 2 kids.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he got to just be my big baby in a way that I feel like he always wanted. And also like, I'm like, he also he was a big pit bull. And so like the amount of people who would like cross the street when he would walk, or like the amount of people who just like didn't get him. And I was like,
Gussie gets that too.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God. Do you know what a lady came up to Mike and I and said yesterday?
Should I kill her?
No, she loves, maybe.
Okay.
She loves pit bulls. This woman, we ran into her at Will Rogers. She
Okay.
definitely was from a certain lifestyle, if you know what I mean, right? Very nice. She came up and she was very nice, and she was saying Gus is so handsome. My dog Gus is a pit mix.
He is a handsome boy.
He's a very handsome boy, and she was talking. She's had pit mixes. She loves them, whatever. And she's like, I'm such a fan of them, and they get such a bad reputation. She's like, people used to call me the Martin Luther King Jr. of pit bulls, and I was like, oh, okay,
Okay. And
yeah.
Wow, that is.
She was a white lady.
Yeah,
Obviously,
only a white lady would say. There is only a white lady would say that. Only a white lady would say that.
I was like, it's just, I said I could order you, Ibram Kendi's book, or we could just keep walking. We're just going to keep walking. But I know what you mean.
But I just, he was.
They're the biggest fucking babies, by the way.
He was like he's the tenderest tender boy who just wants to like sit on my like he was the most fucking delicious dog, and it broke my heart how few people could like see him, and I hope he gets to come back as little bunny rabbit.
I don't think so. He's Cassius is coming back as Cassius. So I actually think Cassius is just going to be in the ether. Like,
yeah, I know. My baby.
You.
Yeah, I really, and I also think I think dogs do something where they're like, they know. And he was like, I think you're good. Yeah. And I think, I don't know. I just couldn't be more grateful for the whole thing. And people are texting me and they're like, how are you doing? And like, I'm really, really sad. I was really sad when I came in because like, I had my first morning routine without him and I saw his collar and like, I'm really, really, really sad. But it's not complicated sad. I'm just sad because like, I love my dog and I miss my dog. Oh, the handsomest boy in the whole fucking, look how handsome this boy is. This was us in Vermont. The
captain of the ship.
Oh, I'm telling you, this was my dude. This was my fucking dude for so long, like we really, and I'm also so grateful that in his older years, he didn't have to be my dude in the same way. Like he just got to be a baby. So Cassius, my dude, I love you so much. You were perfect. Couldn't be more perfect. What's having a moment for you?
You know what's having a moment for me? I would just say, I just want to plug the Substack.
Yes.
You
do such an amazing job.
Thank you. I work really hard on this Substack. So we take every episode and we basically turn it into a newsletter twice a week. And
it's funny.
It's funny.
Smart.
We include the video and we include all the like relevant links, which I think is so important to this.
So, and you do a good job. I'm sorry to like keep interrupting you, but you do a good job of like diversity of links. It's like, we link back to CNN, we link back to the New York Times, we link back to Fox News.
I also actually will just add, I try not to link to New York Times. I try to link to things that are not paywalled too, because I think that's such bullshit when people are like, here are your resources, and they're paywalled.
Totally.
But sometimes I'll link to something that I pulled from, and then I'll try to link to something that is a non-paywalled, which, is great.
She just does it. She does a phenomenal.
Thank you.
Job.
But not enough people are subscribed. So if you go to the link in my bio, if you're watching on TikTok right now or any of the other platforms, you can check it out and you can subscribe to the Substack. It's totally free to subscribe, and you'll get this in your inbox twice a week, and it helps us out a lot. Yep. So anyway, just wanted to plug that. That's what's having a moment for me. You guys, we will be back on Friday. I will be out. I'm also super excited. Another thing that's having a moment for me is I get to go to Chicago this weekend. I got a wedding. I get
with
to see
a great dress.
Fucking cousins. Actually, I don't think you've seen my dress.
No, I saw the rehearsal dinner dress, or like whatever the welcome party dress.
Yes, the welcome party dress. I was like, you haven't seen the dress?
No, the welcome party dress. The welcome party dress.
No, but I am gonna see my cousins. I love fucking hanging out with my cousins.
Cousins are fun.
Oh my God. Listen, there's a very specific group of people who also find The Brothers Solomon to be one of the funniest movies out there, and those are my cousins because we share DNA and so much more. So I can't wait to hang out with them. And you will be here with Dr. Sarah Orrish.
Sure will.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Bye.